I was wearing a microphone for this ride, but I guess I forgot to turn it on or something because it recorded the sound close to my camera, but it didn't record my voice. So we'll voice over after the fact. And this was actually a pretty good ride on Smokey. The last video I did of him, I believe, was that day where we rode all of them in one video, and he was probably the worst horse of the day that day. But it was actually really good here. As you see, he stood still for me to get on, didn't pop up, didn't give me the little rear like he did the other day, and walked off pretty smooth. Walked a couple of circles, like I usually start every ride. He was pulling on my hands a good bit. I got the 5/16 twisted wire snaffle on him, and he's still pulling on my hands a good bit, which I don't care for. That's probably the biggest issue that I had with him in this ride. With him wanting to lean against that pressure of the bit and push on that pressure, I really don't want to put a leverage bit on him. I don't want to give more pressure for him to lean into. Instead, I'm walking some circles. I'm kind of holding on to the rein, setting the rein so he can't pull him out of my hands, and using my legs to kind of push him off of the bit. I start asking him to put just a little bit more effort into walking forward, and he does start to get better about not pushing on my hands as bad when I'm pushing him forward, asking him to work just a little bit harder. As you see, he's starting to give a little bit. It's not terrible, it just is something that needs to get better. And as I use my legs a little bit, bump on him a little bit to ask him to kind of step out a little more. And it's not a lot. We're not even really going much, if any, faster. He's just kind of taking a little bit bigger steps. He does get a little bit better. See there, my hands are just kind of set there next to the saddle. And when I feel him pull on my hands, I'll bump with one leg or bump with the other leg, drive him forward, ask him to work a little bit. Later in this video, you'll see us do a little bit of work with throwing a rope and dragging a log, which that went pretty good. That went very good, actually. There, that's looking a lot better there. It looks a little better than it feels. Yeah, I'm bumping with my spurs, asking to go just a little bit faster. He still does the speed up, slow down thing. As he gets softer, that's going to go away. But the two are working together, because as he gets stiff in his face and pushes on my hands, then his feet don't move as good. When he's soft on my hands, then his feet move better. Those two are connected. He's going to have to get softer on my face, softer on on my hands with his face, for his feet to really start freeing up and moving good. And we've worked on this a lot, but he wants to be lazy is what it is. He wants to just flat walk and not really gait. That's what his preference would be. And then when you ask him to work a little harder, go a little faster, then he wants to push a little bit. And as you see, when I push him out, asking him to go a little faster, he more wants to pace than gait like he's supposed to. That's something that's going to be ongoing long term for the owner to work with. I've put a lot of time into working that, and it's better, but it's still not what it needs to be. But as you see, I've been putting a lot of time into getting him good and broke, and you'll see that in a minute, just what I'm doing there. I ask him here to go a little bit faster, and he'll start off going faster, and then he'll kind of push on my hands. And you see there, he's getting pretty pacey. Wants to pace more than do a single-footed walk like he should. When he gets into that pace and gets a little bit faster than what you see him doing here, it actually gets pretty bumpy. Some of those steps are better. He just doesn't hold it together very long. So I'd work that for a few more minutes, and I cut some of it out so you didn't have to watch all of it, but it's pretty much the same thing. So then I brought him to a stop in the middle, and I took my lariat out. It was attached to the saddle horn. Took it out, and we're going to work with it just a minute. This is one of the things that I have worked with him a lot, and he's actually pretty good with a lariat rope. I think he likes it because it really doesn't involve anything with any effort. He can just kind of stand there. And I am definitely not a roper. My goal is really to get him broke to the rope. His owner will be using him on a ranch, mainly to move cows around and check fence, and just in case they need to do something, as far as rope a calf or something, he will be able to. Just kind of, but I'm using it more as a tool to get him broke. That's really what I want, to get him broke, to do some things and give him a job, so it's not just going around and around or riding out, something to occupy his mind, something to kind of get him broke to do a job. And when you do that with the horse, you get them broke to do a job. It's really good for their mind. I talked to somebody on the phone a day or two ago that has an off-track thoroughbred that they're handling on the ground, and he's horrible on the ground, pushing into them and doing all kinds of stuff. But they haven't really done anything with him to give him a job. And I told him I think that's his issue. Give him a job, challenging with something, and that usually makes their mind just come to a better place. And that works with all horses. It's kind of like a child in school not being challenged is going to get themselves in trouble. So I told them to challenge him and give him something to do. They're going to call me back, and we'll talk, and we'll see what goes on with that one. And so there I threw the rope there down by the mounting block. I didn't attach it back to the saddle horn because I wanted the saddle horn to be empty, because I'm going to pull the log over here. There was somebody that was watching me. They didn't know I had a camera going. I couldn't quite reach the rope, so I circle around and get a better position. I leave that log there against the wall, and then I just throw the rope over the top of the wall. And that's where that log and rope lives. That way it's always there to... And I dropped the rope there. That wasn't even his fault. I just plain dropped it. Now I'll get back on from the ground. I just about always get on with a mounting block. Just because I get on 10 or 12 horses a day from the ground, on and off a couple times, my hips hurt me pretty bad. But I want to make sure they all can be mounted from a step or from the ground, which you saw Robert get on and off this horse a lot from the ground, so I knew he could. So now we're going to make a few circles, walking around, pulling the log a little bit, make the log move, walk some circles, and you're going to see he does something kind of interesting in a few minutes. I'll point it out when he does it if I can spot it on watching it on the video. I said something about it when it happened in real time. There he turned to look at it moving, and we're going to walk a couple circles. He has a little bit, we're still working on his one-handed steering. His neck rein isn't that great, so that makes this a little bit harder. Some of this is with one hand, with my legs. Some of it I've got to use two hands. I'd really like for his neck reining to get a lot better, but he's really bad about whatever direction he wants to go in. Like this camera is sitting by the door going into the barn, and if he wants to go there, he just kind of pokes his shoulder out and leans that direction, which is not good for neck reining. So that makes the neck rein a little harder to develop. He neck reins fine when he wants to. Now we move the log a little bit. I start out just holding the rope and dragging the log. I'd like to get him to walk over the log here. So I like to make the log move and then go back and walk over the log. And that does a lot for their mind. It gives them confidence in that log because they see it move, get a little worried about it, but then we go back and we step over it and they're like, oh, that's just a log. So it kind of connects the two, that it's just a log, and it's not anything that needs to be worried about when it's moving behind them. There, he wasn't really wanting to turn to go over it. There we go. Now I've got the rope on the saddle horn. I just put a loop and put it on the saddle horn. Right there, I'm trying to get him to steer out one-handed and go ahead and drag the log out one-handed, but he's wanting to stay in this circle. So I'll work at it a few times. We do eventually get it. Yeah, I'm holding the rope that we're dragging with one hand and the reins in the other hand. There, now we're going out straighter. It starts to cut me off a little bit. We circle back around, do it again. I'll make sure the rope don't get too tangled in his feet. I don't mind if he kind of steps on it, over it, wherever that rope gets. I don't mind because I want him to be broke to it. I just want to make sure that if we get in that position, if he does panic, I can let go of the rope and get him out of it pretty quick. I don't want to get in that position in a bind where it really gets him in trouble. But I do want to put him in that position where he gets broke to it. And that step is in the middle, and the rope drags around it and beats on it and makes noises, and the log hits it. And I've had people say, why don't you move the step? But I want all that there. I want to be able to flip the rope over the step. I want the log to drag on the step and make a noise. I want all of that to get the horse used to it. It's all part of getting the horse broke. I don't want a perfect situation here, because if I have that perfect situation, the horse never gets broke to the other stuff. A lot of these circles here, and this is what I was talking about a minute ago. I'm trying to get him to go out straighter one-handed, and he puts a little pressure on the log, and it's the same basic pull and release, pressure and release. He feels the pressure, so he goes back into that circle and walks over the log. That's where he knows he can control the release. He can let the pressure go away. It's just like doing groundwork, and you take the pressure away when the feet get still. Well, he has learned that when he starts dragging that log, he can take the pressure away by circling back around. And I'm wanting him to not circle. We're working on it one-handed. So it's just a little bit of a process there. He's not really scared of any part of it. We just need to establish the habit of what he's supposed to do. And working on that one-handed at the same time. Now we're getting out a little further. There, you saw him trying to turn to the right and circle around, and I was able to get him out with a bigger circle. Still working on that bigger circle. I'm using the reins, trying to neck rein him over to the left, right there. Get that rope over the step. Trying to neck rein him to the left, use some right leg, straighten him out. Right there, I flipped the rope over the step. That's the kind of thing I was talking about. That gives me the opportunity to get him broke to that kind of stuff. I don't want him to panic if that rope moves around or flips or whatever. Got to be broke to it. And he's pretty broke to it. He's not too crazy about pulling a weight, but that's more wanting to be a little lazy than scared of it. He really ain't scared of it at all. pulled on that left rein to get him out bigger. Stop that circling that he's wanting to do. Get out of work. There we go. And I know the board is further back than what I'm really going to want it in the end. I'm going to want to build a couple coils in my hand and get that board up closer. But this gets him comfortable with the idea. This is the hard part. Once this is done, then you just start shortening that rope a little shorter, and then it's a done deal then. But this is the hard part. And he's really pretty much over it as far as being any kind of scared of the board. He just ain't real crazy about putting out the effort, putting out the work. But there we go. That looks pretty good there. There we go. Out a little bigger. He's letting me neck rein him around a little bit. There, that was nice. Steered over to the left a little. There. Now he's starting to look like he knows what he's doing. Now you saw me bumping with my legs there trying to steer. So here I'm going to take him out back. I'm going to get a little bit of video for Patreon. I'll post that on Patreon. And I'll put a link here somewhere to his playlist on YouTube. Until next time, thank you for watching.